Fox Rochester. This is 13 Wham News at 10.
No, I know there was a rumor that I offered to resign. I did not. I'm still the police chief today.
For everything that we have seen this year, it is clear to me that there is more work that needs to be done, and I am committed to doing that work.
The mayor and police chief standing together, responding to their calls for resignations. Today's news conference coming after 4 days of unrest in Rochester, sparked by the death of Daniel Prude. At times, the demonstrations turning violent. The chief saying the department has proof outside agitators are some of the people to be blamed for the violence. And tonight, the mayor teaming up with church leaders, some standing between police and protesters, a move demonstrators are calling ridiculous.
Our elders should not have to put their bodies on the line to be a buffer when we have a mayor and a police chief who should be over the police officers, calling them down, and they are not doing it.
And for the 5th consecutive night, demonstrators are demanding justice. Good evening, I'm Dan Schrack. We do have team coverage of the protests underway. Jane Chaco and Andrew Banis both standing by for us tonight. Again tonight, protesters gathering on Jefferson Avenue and marching through the streets of Rochester. And just a short time ago, made it to the Public Safety Building on Exchange Street. 13 Wham's Andrew Banis kicks off our live coverage. Andrew, following along with you on social media, this demonstration appears to be largely peaceful.
Yeah, Dan, right now, from what I'm seeing here, and I'll take a step aside so you can see it too, but hundreds, maybe even 1,000 people in front of the Public Safety Building right now, and it has been entirely peaceful. In addition to chanting Black Lives Matter and chanting that they want to see change, there's also music and friendship in the air. You can really see it's a warm feeling out here. Very peaceful crowd. And we know that the elders and clergy members are also in front of the barricade that's set up in front of PSB, and they are interlocking arms. The whole hope was tonight was by them being here, it could really help maintain the peace. We know most of these protests the past few nights started out very peaceful, and then at some point, there were pepper balls fired, fireworks fired, and it changed at that point. But tonight, the hope is to prevent that and let this crowd out here of, again, about 1,000 people protest and do it peacefully without any problems on either side, from police or protesters that are maybe trying to break through the barricade. Either way, the hope is to maintain peace tonight, and that's largely what we've seen so far since we've been here. The crowd arriving about an hour ago now, and again, really throughout, this has been a peaceful environment. Dan?
Andrew, I want to ask you, it appears behind you there you do see that crowd of people, but beyond them you can see what appear to be police in riot gear. Were you there when the church elders arrived at that barricade? Can you tell us what that interaction or that encounter was like?
Yeah, Dan, actually, I spoke with them as they got onto the buses near City Hall earlier this evening and then rode over here. And I had a chance to speak with a few of them. They said they've been watching what's happening in their city all week, and they really want to make sure they can be out here. They want these protesters to be here and be here peacefully, and they hope that this can play a role. And so far tonight, it looks like it has. So many of the people I spoke to, of those elders and clergy members, they want to be here tonight. They were compelled to be here tonight. And in fact, some of them actually got on a bus, rode over, and wanted to march with the protesters as they arrived here. Largely a peaceful environment here in downtown Rochester tonight. Dan?
All right, Andrew, thank you for that report. There are still dozens of unanswered questions surrounding the death of Daniel Prude and who knew what and when they knew it. As Jenny Ryan reports, the city's top officials are sticking together and promising change.
A couple of big differences today, Dan. The mayor striking a more conciliatory tone after publicly blaming the police chief for not informing her about all the details of Daniel Prude's death. Today, they stood together in what appeared to be a unified front. Outside City Hall, work was being done to repair the damage done by protesters. Inside City Hall, a different kind of damage control.
Their message that we must do better and that we have to address how we police our city has been heard. These calls are not new, and the chief and I have worked diligently to do the necessary work. It is my solemn duty as the mayor of this city to honor Mr. Prude, to not let his death be in vain.
Daniel Prude, naked and in handcuffs on a cold street in March, died a week after being restrained by police. An autopsy ruled his death a homicide by asphyxiation, also citing the drug PCP in his system. Prude's family says he needed mental health help and didn't get it. The mayor and police chief today vowing to double the number of mental health workers for cases like this.
Moving forward, we are dedicated to taking the necessary actions to prevent this from ever happening again. And I understand that there are certain calls that law enforcement shouldn't handle alone, and we are looking at ways to reimagine policing surrounding mental health.
Protesters have called for the resignations of both the police chief and mayor, faulting them for not being more transparent about Prude's death. It wasn't made public until family members held a news conference September 2nd. The mayor said she wasn't made aware of the details of Prude's death until August 4th. She said she never received Prude's autopsy report in April. The chief was asked if he informed the mayor about it.
I'm not going to get into conversation with regard to what me and the mayor talked about with regard to that. I'm not going to publicly disclose conversations between me and the mayor.
You will get all that information during that investigation and during that review, and you will all see that this was done by the book.
Was Jenny Ryan reporting for us. And we want to head back out to those demonstrations underway right now. Checking in with 13 Wham's Jane Chaco. Jane, is the protest still at the Public Safety Building? And do you know by chance if it's planning on going anywhere else tonight?
So it looks like the protest has stayed here. We marched all the way from Jefferson Ave about a mile over to the Public Safety Building. Right now, it's still pretty peaceful. There are some loud chants, there's some loud music, but it's all pretty calm here and quiet other than that. So I'll tell you about the march and the way over here. It was very organized. Free the People Rock made sure that everything was in order. The elders were at the front, then people with shields and umbrellas, and then lastly everyone else. They said the goal was to keep everybody safe and make sure that elders stay at the front, following the idea that was presented today by the mayor and Reverend Brown. And then they made it all the way here, and Free the People Rock said this was the first time they made it all the way here without an interaction with RPD. And so far you can see it is still staying that way. It seems like the crowd is growing bigger. I estimate over 1,000 people, and that's what we're seeing right now. Dan?
Jane, I want to ask you two questions while I've still got you there. First, has there been any use of force, any tear gas or pepper bullets? And also, do you know how long those demonstrators plan to stay there?
So we didn't see any use of the tear gas or the pepper bullets. We do see the police are in their riot gear, but nothing has been deployed yet. But protesters are prepared with their shields and umbrellas. I saw a few people with leaf blowers in case tear gas does come. They can blow it in the opposite direction. And as for how long the protest will last, we don't know yet. We're still going to follow it. We're still staying here. It might continue later the night. We haven't heard from Free the People Rock. Dan?
All right, Jane Chaco reporting for us there. Thank you, Jane. Earlier today, another demonstration honoring Daniel Prude and calling for unity. Affiliated churches joining Victory Living on J Street with more than 100 people taking part. They listened to local bishops talk and other speakers preach about hate around the world and right here in Rochester. At one point, everyone laying on the ground to resemble Daniel Prude on that snowy March 23rd morning.
We can't bring any resolution to the problems we're facing by damaging buildings or hurting other people or bringing weapons to peaceful protests. It's a time for us to listen to each other, embrace each other's differences.
And Bishop Wells' 91-year-old father also took part in today's demonstration.
Well, it certainly was a beautiful day today. A little bit cooler, temperatures only into the lower 70s today, and a lot of the area, some of the area even failed to get out of the 60s. So cooler today, and as you look at the satellite and radar, pretty quiet right now near Rochester. We take a look to the north, and there's this low pressure system that we're watching. We're going to see it here as our next weather maker. And as we go through the remainder of the overnight tonight, we'll see this warm front start to drift off to the north, pushing us into what we call the warm sector. So we'll see some rain showers through the afternoon tomorrow as this cold front approaches from the north and west. That will stall out right around our area on Tuesday. And as we go into Wednesday, it'll be pushed back as a warm front. But as we go through the day tomorrow, we're also going to see some wind gusts pick up as well. We'll see wind gusts between 25 and 35 miles an hour for the most part of the afternoon, and gradually it'll taper off northwest to southeast throughout the evening as we go through tomorrow. Labor Day forecast, well, certainly not what you would hope for as we close out summer unofficially. Temperatures back into the lower 80s by the afternoon. Some rain showers also mixing in rumbles of thunder as well. If you're looking to go out to the lake, you might want to take a second guess. It's going to be breezy. The waves 1 to 3 feet, so not the best of days to be out on the lake, but certainly it's going to be warm enough to be out there if you want to brave the wind and rain. Temperatures, summer heat's going to hang on through the middle of the week as well. Temperatures getting up near 87 degrees on Wednesday. Right now we're at 62 degrees, dew point at 54, so a little bit cooler out there. Temperatures end up around 61 tonight, and as we go through the remainder of the afternoon into the evening, we start to see those temperatures dwindle a little bit. Back into the mid-70s by the afternoon. We work our way into the 80s by the afternoon as well. Again, some of those rain showers in there as well. But for the most part, not bad at all. Going into the middle of the week, again, warming up a little bit. Some summer sun, some summer heat to close out the summer season unofficially.
All right, John, thank you for that. And thank you for joining us for this abbreviated version of 13 WHAM News at 10 on Fox Rochester. Our continuing coverage of those demonstrations anytime online at 13wham.com. For continuing live coverage, flip on over to 13 WHAM. We are on right after.
Summer's almost over, and so are the huge savings at the Hyundai Epic Summer Sales Event. But there's still time